Welcome back, YouTube. My name is TayBikes28, and we are going live once again, second day in a row for the NFL offseason for your Toronto Huskies. That is right. We are coming back, and we are looking to absolutely destroy this NFL draft. Second ever draft for your Toronto Huskies. The last one was last season, and kind of essentially the beginning of Toronto's franchise was the draft. And now, fast forward a year, and we're here again looking to continue to get better. But before we start things off, we'll take a look at the free agency recap for those of you that missed the last stream and see what exactly happened. What did we do for the first part of the offseason, which it was free agency and the re-signing period. And so we'll take a look at that, and then we'll also get into the NFL draft, as you guys see. And I do have to point out, though, before we start this thing off, two things. First off, I'll explain to you what the Toronto Huskies franchise is. And second off, I will explain to you how the draft is going to go a little differently than we expected because I misinterpreted something last time that I was live. But without further ado, let's talk about what is the Toronto Huskies franchise. So the Toronto Huskies are an expansion team that, well, not exactly an expansion team, but we'll call it, for better terminology, an expansion team. The Jacksonville Jaguars owner, Shad Khan, no longer wanted to be a part of the NFL, so he went ahead and got rid of the team, blew the team up. All the players went into the free agent pool and could sign with any team they wanted. And then, after that happened, obviously, Ryan Fitzmagic, a.k.a. Ryan Fitzpatrick, came in, and as you see him on the board in the background there, he came in and was the starting quarterback and owner of the new team, the Toronto Huskies. So Shad Khan sold the rights to the team, allowed anyone to take them and move them wherever they wanted, and it ended up being in Toronto as the Huskies, and Ryan Fitzpatrick trying his hand as the first ever player and owner, current player and owner ever in NFL history, as he goes ahead and moves his team to Toronto, quarterbacks the first season, and retires at the end of the first year. And this opens up the door for a whole new upcoming season for the Toronto Huskies, something we haven't seen before, a new quarterback. And not only that, but the Toronto Huskies here, we do not play the games, for those of you that are wondering. And you're like, well, what's the point if you don't play the games? Well, let me explain to you what this is. This is a team building exercise. So the whole point of this is to build the best possible team that wins championships without us interfering. Now, what that means is, so I could go in there and I could beat any team by like 50 if I wanted to. But that's no fun, is it? Okay? Well, some of you are like, well, yeah, it is fun, and at times it is. But for this purpose, in terms of team building, it's much easier if you play the games yourself to build a championship winning team versus if you don't play the games and you simulate. Now, when I say simulate, I'm not talking about we just hit sim and we get to see what happens, okay? I'm talking we actually go in and watch the games. I commentate over the games. We talk about the team throughout the season, and you get to actually see the team in action every single week and see our players improve. And this is all without us playing the games, okay, which is very key. So it gives you the truest format in terms of being an NFL general manager, in a sense. So that's what we're going with here. And what's also exciting about this type of a format is it puts an emphasis on your decisions, whether it be who you draft, who you sign, who you start. All sorts of different things are emphasized 10 times versus if you were just playing the game yourselves or I was playing the game. It is a lot more fun. I highly recommend you guys test or try this type of gameplay out. It's a lot of fun, and it can be really rewarding if you get a good team rolling. But without further ado, now we're going to talk about what did I mess up. So I sort of messed something up, but also didn't mess it up in a sense. I had told you guys we should check out at the beginning of last stream, or at the end of last stream, I can't remember, whether or not we had where we were in the draft, because we assumed we were the number one pick, right? That is not the case, actually. And we're going to take a look. Do not have the number one pick, despite going 3-13. We have the number 2 pick because the Washington team that shall not be named, we'll call them football team. All right, the Washington football team ended up as the number 1 selection over us, actually, despite us having fewer points scored, and despite that, we also allowed, though, fewer points against us than the Washington football team. So that's probably part of the reason why they ended up, and just the way the schedule fell, they end up with the number 1 pick. So that means we are at number 2 in the draft, which changes things up. All right, we won't necessarily have our pick of the land in a sense. Well, we kind of will, minus one player, whoever they take. But that one player could be someone that we may have wanted. So keep that in mind. And I think without further ado, I'll real quick go ahead and show you guys the team and free agency recap. And then we will go ahead and jump in and start the draft. So the team, what are we looking at? As you see, we're all the way up to a 78 overall. All right. So looking at the team, at the quarterback position, we went out and signed Andy Dalton. That's right. We needed an insurance policy in case, let's say, we are unable to draft somebody for some reason in this upcoming draft. We needed someone who we could start if we had to. Now, obviously, we're not looking to start Andy Dalton. I'm hoping he's going to be just a good veteran backup that can help mentor whoever we bring in this draft. And then we also have these guys who are already on the team, PJ Walker and Easton Stick, a couple of young guys. And then at the running back position, we signed 2 running backs. Our running game was really bad last year. Patrick Laird tried his best, but he couldn't quite get the running game going. He had a couple of 100-yard games here or there, but not much to really speak of in terms of the rushing attack. So we went out and signed Latavius Murray and Aaron Jones. I think that's going to be a really good 1-2 punch for us. Aaron Jones, obviously the lead back. Latavius Murray is a great backup, an underrated player to have in this game. And then at the fullback position, that's right, fullback position, we signed Robert Tonyan. I don't know why Bob Tonyan was out here as a fullback. I'm not going to question it. It's the Packers. They probably were like, oh, he's a good player. Let's ruin him. That's what the Packers do. So they put him at fullback. But anyways, I went ahead and signed him because, you know what? What the heck? Why not? We can always move him to tight end as well if we feel the need to do so. And let's say we did that and then moved like John Kelly or Raquel Armstead or something like that to fullback. That's always an option as well. And move Tonyan to tight end. But then we also have wide receivers. We didn't do much with the wide receiving core because we have a really deep, young receiving core. We have CeeDee Lamb as the number 1, Keontae Bonds, the rookie from last year. But we did sign T. Higgins, who is just sitting out there in free agency. And we got him on a fairly cheap deal. And obviously Trent Sherfield, who played really well last year down the stretch, and Michael Pittman Jr. as well that we got mid-season last year. And we have Russell Gage, Ashton Dulin. We have just a ton of young receivers. Not a single receiver who is older than 25 years old on our roster, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. And then looking at the tight end position, we have signed Jonnu Smith. And we obviously have Jesper Horsted, who played really well last year for us when he was on the field. And then Delaney Walker, we decided to let go. We still may bring him back to be the tight end too, but we really did like what Jesper Horsted brought to the table last year. So keep that in mind. We did sign Jonnu Smith as just a younger option at the tight end position for us. It was only a 1-year deal, though, so it was kind of a 1-year prove it deal for Jonnu Smith. If he plays really well, then we'll go ahead and give him an extension. If he doesn't, though, we aren't on the hook for a ton of money. And then in terms of the offensive line, we have a very young offensive line. We have Jedrick Wills at the left tackle. We did sign Netane Muti on a 2 or 3 year deal at left guard. I think he could be the starter next year, depending on how things pan out, so keep an eye on that. He's 23 years old as well. Nick Harris at center. We went ahead and obviously drafted Lorenzo Betts, the rookie from last year, who was really good. And then Merrill Wiley, who sneaked into the starting position after we had a player leave mid-season and quit football. So he became the starting right tackle. And then at the defensive end position, we obviously still have Ifeadi Odenigbo. I'm a big fan of him. He played pretty well last year. And then at the right end position, Rasheem Green is still on the team, but he's not necessarily going to be the starter anymore. Maybe he is. We'll have to keep an eye on that. We did sign Ryan Kerrigan, though, the veteran, who I think he's an X factor, as you see. I think he's going to really help out our pass rush this upcoming season, so I'm excited about that. And then we also have defensive tackles, our young guys, Floyd Ellis and Terrell Beckwith, both rookies last year. Floyd Ellis is a monster. I cannot wait to see what his career turns out to be. I think he could be better than Aaron Donald. But anyways, enough talk about that. And then we have our outside linebackers. We signed Logan Wilson to take over for Joe Giles Harris. I just wanted to get some upgrades in our linebacking core. I felt like that was a weakness last season. Despite the fact that some of our linebackers played really well, I just felt like it ended up being a weakness towards the end of the season. Logan Wilson, though, we signed him on a multi-year deal, so he'll be around for at least 4 seasons, I believe. And then at middle linebacker, Josh Bynes, we still have that veteran presence in the middle, but we got an even better veteran presence now in Demario Davis, who I signed. He was a little expensive. I signed him on a 2-year deal as an outside linebacker, actually, because that's where they had him playing. But I moved him inside where he deserves to be at, and he will probably be the starter at the middle linebacker position for the rest of his time here. And then I also re-signed Josh Harvey Clemens as a depth player during the free signings period. And then at right outside linebacker, we have our first ever superstar dev player, Quincy Williams, and he is continuing to be a monster. And I'm excited to see what I can concoct with Zaire Franklin. I think he's going to be the main backup in the linebacking core, so it gets him on the football field a decent amount. I'm excited to see. I was really impressed with what he did last year. The cornerback position, we splurged here, and it wasn't even on purpose. We wanted to get a replacement for Logan Ryan, all right, to be the number 1 guy. So we went out and signed Marshawn Lattimore, right? That was the replacement. We paid for him. He was expensive, but I think in the long run it's going to help us out. I think we got him for at least 4 years, maybe 5, but I believe it was 4 years. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. Obviously, we still have Richie Branch, the rookie from last year, Nick Needham, who underperformed last season, Nick Nelson down here as well, a young player who could develop. And we also got, though, up here towards the top, Darius Slay, big play Slay, and I didn't actually expect him to sign with us. He didn't have any offers out, so we kind of lowballed him a little bit. We gave him a 1-year deal worth like $9 million or something like that, and he went ahead and signed with us. And it was kind of crazy. I didn't expect to get him. It was just kind of a deal that I threw out there and just see what happens. And he, jumped on board. So now we have a really good. We went from not having a great cornerback room last season, and now we have a phenomenal 1-2 punch at corner and a young and upcoming number 3 in Richie Branch, which immediately gives us an upgrade over Nick Needham, who was the number 3 last year and struggled. And then at free safety, we have Jalen Thompson. Obviously, we traded for him halfway through last season at the trade deadline. Lano Hill is still here as well. And then at strong safety, we tried to go get Keanu Neal in free agency. We were unsuccessful in doing so, as I believe he went to the Carolina Panthers. And so now we still have Rashad Jones, but he took a huge hit. He went from like a 76 or 77 overall down to a 70. And I think it might be time to move on from Rashad Jones. He played great for us last year, was phenomenal, but I'm worried that if we play him again this year, that it's going to get very bad very quickly. We could always move Lano Hill over there if we wanted to, or maybe we draft somebody at that position. So that's something we have to keep in mind. And then at kicker, we still have Josh Lambo and punter Matt Hack. And you see the draft picks. We've got a lot of them. All right. Now, obviously, we'll probably trade down from a couple of these, get some extra capital for next season. And who knows, maybe we package some of these together and move up in the draft. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on as well. But as you see, 2 first-round picks. Pick number 2, which is our pick, and then pick number 11 from Denver. Excited to see if we can do with those 2 first-round picks. But without further ado, it is time to jump into the NFL draft. Very excited to see how this ends up panning out. I better check the audio real quick, so bear with me as I go do that. All right. So, looks like that sounds pretty good. So it's time to start the NFL draft, and I'm excited. And I will be giving you guys our in-depth scouting reports of some of these players as we are looking at them. And I'm excited to see how this goes. I think this could be a huge turning point for the entire franchise moving forward. But it is time to start the NFL draft. Now, with the number 1 pick in the draft, the Washington football team is at number 1, and I didn't expect them to. I thought we would have the slam dunk number 1 pick. So, looking at the draft board real quick to start this thing off, at the top, there are a slew of various players that could go number 1 overall, but I think if we're being 100% honest, it's really down to about 2 guys. Assuming they need a quarterback, it will be probably Demetrius Maddox or Nathan Russell. I think those are going to be the 2 guys. I'm leaning towards, if I had to take a guess, Maddox was extremely hyped coming into this draft, so there's a good chance that he goes number 1 overall. And let's go ahead and read what they say about these, my scouting, or excuse me, my scouts say about these players here at the top of the draft. So specifically the 2 quarterbacks, Maddox and Nathan Russell. So start off with Demetrius Maddox. All right. So this is what my scout says. He said, well, I have to admit I wasn't expecting this. We had Maddox as a top 3 quarterback prospect last year, but as the season went along, he really asserted himself as the guy. I think he made it clear that he was the best quarterback prospect midway through the season, but leading the team to the national championship and taking home the Heisman is what made him our number 1 overall prospect. Maddox has a size and a strong arm to go along with it. Even more impressive is his accuracy and poise under pressure. I do wonder about his confidence as he looked defeated during the final drive in the national championship game with 50 seconds left. But he is young and still has time to grow. Probably my biggest gripe with his issues is his issues with securing the rock. If he can get that under control, he can definitely be a franchise changer. And so that's what they said about Demetrius Maddox, the quarterback from Georgia. And then the Oklahoma quarterback, Nathan Russell. This is what they had to say about Nathan Russell. I know a lot of you are asking who. I may not have talked about Nathan Russell during the preseason, but I'm damn sure talking about him now. Most people are ranking him behind Maddox mainly because of size and mobility, but if we're being honest, Russell is probably the better pure passer, and you could make the argument that he has the stronger arm. Russell may be a little stiff in the pocket, but he has a Roethlisberger-like ability to toss defenders off of him. He isn't scared to get hit, and as the season went on, he seemed to always make the right pass in pressure situations. One of the most important stats that you don't see above is that out of those 8 picks during the regular season, only one of those came in the last 5 games of the year. I don't think you can go wrong with one of these guys, but if Maddox is gone, he is definitely your guy. So that's what you can expect from these top 2 quarterbacks. And maybe we go with one of these guys. Maybe we don't. Looking at some of the other quarterbacks on the board, I'm not really impressed with C.J. Armstrong or any of these other guys. Armin Martinez is a mid-round guy that we could keep our eyes on. That's someone that is interesting. So this is what they say about Armin Martinez from West Virginia. They say he's a true wild card, lacks size and poise, but can run like the damn wind. So that's something that we can look forward to. He's definitely the most mobile quarterback out of any of these guys in this draft class. And then a guy that I'm really, really excited for is Trevor Nickerson, the quarterback from Maine. That's right, the Maine Black Bears. All right, and this is what they have to say about Trevor Nickerson from Maine. Not many have seen this 5'11 guy in action because of his college, but he really has that Russell Wilson magic about him if given the opportunity. Now, I don't know about you, but I would love to have my starting quarterback for years to come get drafted in the 7th round and be an absolute steal. So you don't have to pay him crazy amounts of money for being a first-round pick. And that sounds very intriguing to me. So that's something that we should keep an eye on as well. Obviously, there's some other guys that could also be up here. Cole Sharp, Eris Upshaw, Dimitri Green. A lot of interesting names out here. Jaquil Easter, Jamal Burgess. A lot of different guys. I'm very excited for Darius Evans. That's someone that we have to keep an eye on as well. But without talking too much about these guys, let's go ahead and see what the Washington football team does here with the first overall selection. Wow. Okay. Wow. So they go with Ben Waters over any of those quarterbacks. And, that is definitely interesting. So that means we have our choice of quarterback here if we wanted to go that route. Or we could look at maybe moving up and down the board. That's also an option. And maybe get some different draft capital. We could also go ahead and look at a different position other than quarterback. So I think that first things first, let's look at the trades. Are there any trades that are worthwhile with this selection? So Minnesota is actually up here with 2 first-round picks. Both are in the top 11. Obviously, next year's is a projection, but a top 10 pick from Minnesota, another first-rounder, and a 6th this year. That is interesting. Now, obviously, 2 firsts and a 2nd from Seattle, but those are much later. I don't want to drop from 2 all the way back, outside of the top 20. So even though that's a, they're trying to make up for the lack of draft capital with the extra 2nd and 1st, but I just not liking that one. New Orleans, top 6 pick, another first rounder and a 2nd. Now that is interesting as well. And then there's also New England here with pick number 5, 2 first rounders and a 6th. And then Carolina, 2 firsts and a 2nd, pick number 12. Miami at pick 14. Indianapolis. Now, Miami did sign Patrick Mahomes, so keep that in mind. Indianapolis with pick 15. Pick 19 here with LA. That's too far. I don't want to drop that far. Pick 9 with Tampa. I don't think Tampa's giving us enough. So I'm going to say no to Tampa. No to LA, too far. No to Indy, that's too far to drop. I think I'm going to say no to Miami as well. Carolina, I'd rather take, I think, a different slew of picks over theirs. New Orleans, that one's interesting. That one is really, really interesting. Because that's 2 first-round picks and a second. For only dropping essentially 4 positions. And we get an extra first and second next year. Oh. You know what? Let's say we drop to 6. Let's take a look at the board. If we decided to go that route, obviously Maddox and Russell probably gone at that point. So that means we would be forfeiting the top 2 quarterbacks. And there's a chance that maybe these guys are gone as well. So, and maybe even Aris Upshaw is gone. So that leaves us in this range, which, to be 100% honest, I kind of like. Especially with that extra first and second. I think that's the route that I want to go. I'm going to go ahead and trade this selection. Trade down. Trade with New Orleans for the 6th pick in this class and a first and second rounder from them next year. That's going to be the move. Hopefully we don't regret this. All right. So, New Orleans, with a huge haul to go up 4 selections. What do they do with that pick? And wow, they don't go with a quarterback. So all the quarterbacks are still on the board. That's insane. Huh, they drafted... Wow. So they traded 2 first-round picks and a second for a defensive tackle. That's... wow. That is crazy. So that means Philadelphia is up next. And I think there's a good chance we see the first quarterback off the board here. What is going on right now? Are we going to have both these quarterbacks fall to us at pick 6? Wow. That would be mind-boggling to me. Now, I'm trying to think who the 49ers or the Patriots have as their quarterbacks. Obviously, I think the Patriots would have Cam Newton maybe, so they could get an upgrade. I expect a quarterback to go there. The Niners could have... Oh, I'm trying to think. Who would the Niners quarterback be? Oh, gosh. I'm drawing a blank right now. I know it's obvious, and I just can't think. Who is the Niners quarterback? Oh, yes, Jimmy Garoppolo. There we go. So they don't necessarily need a quarterback, but they could draft one. So let's see what the Niners do here. I'm going to go ahead and advance. And they don't go with a quarterback. All right? They go elsewhere. Which, you know what? I am not too shocked there. But that means that no matter what, one of those 2 quarterbacks is going to be there for us at pick 6. So, let's just go ahead and advance this and see which one of those guys ends up being available. And the question is, do we draft them then? I don't know. I don't know. Wow! Oh my goodness. Oh wow. The Patriots go with Eris Upshaw. Good looking player, but they don't take a quarterback. And I'm wondering why. I understand Cam Newton had a, because he's for some reason ridiculously OP in this game. But I mean, yes, he's an X factor, but he's only an 80 overall. I don't know, and he's 32. I'm surprised that they did not go with a quarterback. So that means once again we have our pick of quarterbacks. I don't think I would have taken any of those guys that got drafted anyways. Eris Upshaw would have been someone we could have taken a look at, but any of the other guys I wasn't too impressed with. So let's, well, you know what? Let's see what else is available for. I see like this. I don't like that. That is not much of a trade there. So it looks like we're going to be making a selection here at pick number 6. And to be 100% honest, I didn't expect. I thought these two would be the first two off the board. I really did. So this is crazy. I don't know what. I do not know what to do here. Well, let's take a look around. What is available? What do we like? We could go after Cameron Rodgers, but we did sign running backs, so we don't have to really worry about that. Receiving core is very good for us, so we wouldn't go there. Tight end, we could consider a tight end. I don't know if I would take him at number 6, though. Dimitri Green would be interesting. Marcel Cobb as well. Heck, even Quentin Stone. Adam Ritter. Adam Ritter looks very good. Although I don't know. He might be available with our next selection. Not a huge fan of a lot of the offensive linemen in this draft class. Cole Sharp. I mean, I don't know. He's alright. Michael Roscoe. That is interesting. That is definitely interesting. As you see, we got some later guys who will probably be on the board for some of our mid-round selections. There's Akeem Moore, a middle linebacker, but being that we did sign Demario Davis, don't know if that's the biggest position of need. Now, right outside linebacker has a Darius Evans, and he looks really good. So we'll have to consider maybe taking him and moving him from right outside linebacker to another position. Not a huge fan of the corners in this draft class, so I'm going to shy away from them as well. Jaquil Easter is interesting. That would give us a position of need secured up. So let's take a look at what they say about Jaquil Easter, or Darius Evans, Michael Roscoe, and maybe Dimitri Green. So this is what they say for. Well, we'll start with Dimitri Green, because I feel like that would be. All right, so this is what they say about Dimitri Green. Statistics cannot really paint an accurate picture of how effective Dimitri Green is as an offensive player. For starters, he's a great mismatch on the receiving end. He is big, knows how to use his body to his advantage, and is more athletic than most linebackers that will attempt to match up with him. What really makes him a top 15 prospect, though, is that in addition to all of that, he is a great blocker. Now, we mentioned before that his biggest negative is his behavior and inability to be a, quote, team guy. Although his teammates claim to love him publicly, a lot has been said about him behind closed doors. If he can overcome all of that, he may just be a steal outside of the top 10. So, they're expecting him to go in the mid-teens, but we could draft up for him, secure that tight end of the future with Dimitri Green. We could also go ahead and look at Adam Ritter, that tackle that looked pretty good. This is what they said about him. He's a junior from Florida, talented. We will be talking about 3 first-round left tackles if he could keep his head on straight. 2 DUIs, 1 open container, and 4 speeding tickets during his junior year. So he has some issues with character, but he's definitely a great football player. And then for defensive ends, we're going to talk a little bit about Michael Roscoe from Missouri, the senior. This is what they say about him. I mean, I loved this kid's tape, but he sat out the Senior Bowl, and his teammate Charles Tinger shined. Teams double-teamed Roscoe on a daily basis, which freed up Tinger for one-on-one action on the edge. Which, being that the teams double-teamed him, I think that says a lot about the type of player that Roscoe is. Moving on to our Adarius Evans. Now, this is what they say about him. At his size, you want someone that is going to be very athletic. And if I'm being honest, Evans isn't that guy. He is not going to wow you with the drills, but what he is capable of is using his unmatched understanding of the position to make the play that the more athletic guy may not be able to process or make. I know I'm putting Evans down like he's some kind of bum on the street, but he isn't. He is still a very good tackler and has improved in getting off blocks this year and tied for 4th in the nation in sacks this season. Evans is a guy that you don't always have to tell what to do in every situation. You can leave him out there and trust that he is going to make the right decision for the team, and you have to appreciate a guy like that. And he was tied for 4th in the nation in sacks, as they mentioned. He was also tied for 6th in the nation in tackles for loss and tied for 10th in the nation for forced fumbles. He had 15 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles last year, along with 80 tackles. Now, it was at Iowa State, so that's something that is intriguing. I think it could definitely help the team out if we got him. Looking at some of the other guys, Jaquil Easter is the last guy that we wanted to look at. And this is what they say about him. This guy earned that Defensive Player of the Year trophy, and in my eyes, is the closest thing to a Troy Polamalu that you are going to see in the draft. Need someone that can provide superb run support? Check. Need someone that's going to stop the air assault? Check. In addition to that, he just seems to always know where to be without being told. He just has that knack for being around the ball constantly and has that coach on the field mentality. He's only a mid-first round guy because he doesn't have the freakish athleticism that some of the other top picks, but if he's available as a mid-first, I think he's a great pick. So, what that means to me is he could be a stud moving forward. I like what he brings to the table as well, Jaquil Easter, and it's a position of need. So we'll have a decision here. I'm leaning either Easter or Darius Evans or one of these quarterbacks. Oh my, this is tough. It's a tough decision. You know, I think I'm gonna go with Darius Evans. I love what he brings to the table. He's strong. He's quick. He's got that great agility. And then on top of that, I love the fact that he would give us something that we don't really have, and that is a stud in terms of at the to go along with Quincy Williams. We can have that 1-2 punch and Floyd Ellis in the middle, because Darius Evans is a pass rushing machine from what I've seen on tape. So I think that's the route that I would like to go. Maybe we can pair him up perfectly. I know we'll have to retool the defense a little bit and figure out how we can get all these guys on the field. But I think Darius Evans is definitely the route to go here. So that's what I'm going to go with the first selection. It may not be popular. I know everyone wants me to go with one of those quarterbacks, but I just maybe it's a sign, the fact that both of them fell to me, but maybe it's a sign also the fact that they fell. All right? I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Draft Day, but you know, the GM in that movie, there's a quarterback and he starts falling, and the GM, well, he doesn't take the quarterback. So we'll have to, that's something to keep in mind. And I'm going to go with the Darius Evans. I am a fan. I think I can do a lot with him as well. So Darius Evans. Okay, all right. So he has hidden dev. He's a 77 overall already. And he's number 5 in true talent. And we got him at 6. So that's a win for us. All right. So we definitely hit on this pick. As you see, I love the fact that he has 86 tackling already. That is huge. Absolutely huge. Not to mention the fact that he could play so many different... He could play defensive end. He could play, linebacker, outside or inside. Looking at the way that his coverages are, like, he could play pretty much anywhere. So, I mean, I could even put him at defensive tackle. I would never do that, but, we could. So I love a player that is as versatile as Darius Evans. So I'm a huge fan of this selection. I'm definitely happy with what we got here. Continuing to build our strength, which is defense. So let's see, what do these other teams do in terms of with these quarterbacks? Well, one of them go here to the Bears. And one of them does, Nathan Russell. Nathan Russell to the Bears. He will probably be their quarterback of the future. 77 overall. So he definitely would have helped us out. But we got a 77 overall ourselves. So I liked Darius Evans, and I feel like I can do more with him. All right, the Steelers up next. What will the Steelers do here? They obviously don't have Big Ben anymore, so they're going to need somebody, unless I believe actually they drafted Caldwell last year. I forgot. So they go with an offensive lineman to help protect him, Cole Sharp. All right, I believe he was actually rated the top tackle in this draft class, quote unquote. But I don't think he actually was the top tackle. I think that Adam Ritter takes that trophy. Now the Bucs are interesting because they just lost Tom Brady. This is what they have right now at the quarterback position. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are struggling right now at the quarterback position because they have Jacob Eason, and that is it. So I highly expect Maddox to go here, and to be 100% honest, would not be shocked. I don't think he's going to make it to Minnesota, and I definitely don't think he's going to make it back to us. Because if the Bucks don't take him, I think Minnesota would. And there goes Demetrius Maddox, who's only a 73 overall. Interesting. So maybe it's a good thing we didn't go and draft him. I mean, obviously he would still be a great upgrade over Andy Dalton, but that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on. Let's see what my Minnesota Vikings do. They go with Dimitri Green. All right, the tight end that we considered taking. So that gives us one fewer option now with this selection. Let's look at the offers on the board here for the number 11 overall pick. I don't want to drop all the way to 27 for a 6th-round selection. That is a terrible trade. And honestly, all of these are pretty terrible. I am not impressed at all. So it looks like we'll be making another selection here at pick number 11. And with this selection, now we have, decisions to make, because those quarterbacks are gone. So at this point, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait at the quarterback position, see if we can get someone like Trevor Nickerson, maybe Armin Martinez later. At the halfback position, I'm going to go and say that we don't necessarily need to get one. We just signed Aaron Jones, and I'm not jumping for joy at any of these running backs. The wide receivers, we have a good receiving core. Tight end, we could go with a guy like Marcel Cobb here. He would be interesting, or Quentin Stone. But I do like Cobb a little bit more. But either of those would be interesting. We could get Adam Ritter here. I definitely like what he brings to the table. He could be the selection here. I'm afraid if we don't take him, I think he's going to be gone by the time we pick again. The rest of the offensive linemen, I feel okay with letting slip by if they do. Oh, Michael Roscoe, though, as well, would be a huge upgrade across the defensive line. And I don't know that he's going to be there either if we don't select him. I feel okay with letting Matt Edwards and Mirable go. They're going to be mid-round picks for us if we select them. Akeem Moore is someone that we have to keep an eye on. I don't necessarily know that I want to pick him here, but he's someone that could definitely be in the works, maybe with our 2nd-round selection if he's still there. Right outside linebacker, we just drafted one, so we don't really have to look at these too much. Bayless wouldn't be bad, though. Don't care about the corners. We kind of talked a little bit about that. Easter is still there, which we considered with the first selection. So that is also pretty key. And at Easter would be a huge upgrade for us at safety. I think that's the route we go. I think Easter would be the one that makes the most sense. Adam Ritter would be nice. I would really like to get Adam Ritter, but I don't know that we'll be able to. Michael Roscoe is another one that I'd like to get, but it's not necessarily the biggest need. Jaquil Easter is a big need for us. So I want to get him and make sure that we have him on our team so we don't have to play against him. So I'm going to go with Jaquil Easter here. I like what he brings to the table. We already kind of talked about what they thought. They thought he was going to be a great pick if he's available mid-first, and this is about mid-first outside of the top 10. So I'll take Jaquil Easter here. And we almost hit that once again right on the dot. Another hidden dev player, 75 overall, which is pretty darn good. Already a 5-point boost at that position for us. and he was number 10 in true value. We got him at number 11. I think that's a win. I don't necessarily like consider true value to be the determining factor. True value doesn't necessarily mean that just goes off of how high of an overall are they. When a player might have a little bit lower overall but a better dev trait. So I don't necessarily go off of true value, but as long as it's fairly close, I think it's a win. But look at that, 92 speed. Gives us some speed in the back end, which we desperately need. That's something that we kind of lacked at certain times with Rashad Jones last season. And I like the ability because he has some hitting ability with that hit power. He's a good tackler already, and he has good zone coverage. So those are the big three, and he has decent man coverage if we ever had to put him up one-on-one. So I like what Jaquil Easter brings to the table. I think he's going to be a great player for us for the future. So let's get going through this first round here. Marcus Adams goes off the board. Good player there. Uriel Holmes, who was rated the top corner, so that's interesting. Only a 70 overall, which is a prime reason why I wasn't a huge fan of these corners. Marcus Sawyer. Jamal Burgess, the Central Michigan product who was considered the #1 wide receiver. Only a 72. Going to Indianapolis. So we'll have to play against him. Twice a year, Jamal Burgess. We'll have to play against twice a season. We'll also have to play against whoever Tennessee drafts here twice a year as well. And they go and get Atreyu Kelly at the outside linebacker spot. Now, going to Dallas, they take an offensive lineman. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Looking at Cincinnati here, they also take an offensive lineman, trying to build up the offensive line there, which is a weakness for them. The Chargers also go with an offensive lineman. Looks like some linemen are going here in the mid first round. And another corner, Jamaris Johnson, who I wasn't sure what to think. I thought he could be good, but I wasn't sure. 70 overall. Glad I didn't consider him. The Seahawks get a wide receiver here, Alonzo Chapman. 71 isn't terrible. It's a little bit of a whiff there by the Browns. The Browns in a whiff. Not shocking. The Rams get a left end in Javier Robinson, not Michael Roscoe, which glad, because maybe that means he's going to fall to us. We only have about 6, 7, 8 picks left in this first round, and 9 picks until we select. The Jets go, and that's a big whiff there. They try to get one of those corners, and like I said, the cornerback class just not good. Robert Gouvermont for the Lions. I didn't scout any of the defensive tackles. Didn't feel like we needed to. So I really knew nothing about those guys at all. Kajan Bendolph. That's just not good. Just not good. And another defensive end here to the Falcons. Also very bad player. Akeem Moore, that middle linebacker we talked about. And we're going to have to play against him twice a season here. Akeem Moore going to the Texans. So that's not going to be fun. Hopefully, he looks like a good player as a 75 overall. I do like the fact that we went with Easter, though, Jaquil Easter over him. I think it was the right decision. Tavion Evans, another middle linebacker to the Ravens. The Giants get a center. A couple of centers in the first round here, but you don't see that every day. Brendan Carr to the Chiefs. Not Brandon Carr, Brendan Carr, his cousin. And then we have Cameron Rodgers. We have another Rodgers to Green Bay. It's like they are just trying to recreate drafting Aaron Rodgers every year now. And then the first, or I guess second running back in a row, I believe, that is Devontae Royster, who doesn't look like a bad running back, but I don't think that's who I would have wanted for us to be a starter. So that means we are on the clock again, and this is our only second round selection. Any good draft or trades here? It does not appear that there's much at all. So I'm going to go ahead and make a selection here. Top of the second round. Get some good players. A lot of guys still on the board that I didn't expect to be. As you see here, Michael Roscoe is the number 13 player on the board right now. Adam Ritter at 18. And Marcel Cobb and Quentin Stone rounding out the top 20. So, whew. It's probably going to be between Adam Ritter for me and Michael Roscoe. Those are the guys that I really would like to get on this squad. I think they could really help out either side of the line, whether it be defensive or offensive line. Michael Roscoe would be a big upgrade for us. I like what he brings to the table. He still has strength despite being what looks like a finesse rusher, speed rusher. And then you add in the fact that he's a pretty big dude also. And then at left tackle, you got Adam Ritter here, who is just so strong, ridiculously strong. And he already has A pass blocking. I think we have to bring Adam Ritter in. I think that's the move. Maybe we trade package a deal up to come get Michael Roscoe. That might be what we go ahead and do. But for right here, let's go ahead and get Adam Ritter. Look at that strength, 40 bench reps. That's insane. And he's fast to boot, despite being 328 pounds at 6'6". He almost runs a sub 540 at that. That's just, at that size, that is insane. So I'm going to go ahead and get Adam Ritter here. Let's go. That's the number 4 guy in true talent. 77 overall, hidden dev. To be 100% honest, I was not sure whether Adam Ritter would be... I knew he'd be good, but I didn't know like if he would have hidden dev, to be 100% honest. I'm very happy with that, because offensive linemen, their dev traits do not adjust. They are what they are. So the fact that he's at least star dev or better really makes me a happy individual. As you see, great strength, 86 pass blocking. As a rookie, he's going to be a monster. Absolute monster. Maybe we put Jedrick Wills over to right tackle, or maybe Adam Ritter goes to right tackle. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. Do a little shuffling at the end of the draft. But very, very nice selection here from your Toronto Huskies. And we already read what they said about Adam Ritter. So let's keep going through this draft. Dries Williams is the top running back that was left on the board, going to the Niners. Looks like a decent player. Michael Roscoe goes. I didn't think that he would go this high. Gosh. Dang. I should have just traded up immediately. Gosh, that's tough. That's tough. I don't know if there's anyone else on my board that I... Not really. I mean, 16 and 17 here with a tight end, maybe. Great pick, though, by the Seahawks with Michael Roscoe. It was a, what was it, 75? Would have been a nice snag here. And looks like an alright defensive tackle there. Vince Holt to the Bears. Quinton Stone just goes to the Jets. So now is probably the time if we want to get that other tight end there. So this is what they said about both of those tight ends. Because if we had to decide between the two, all right, that would have been a tough decision, to be 100% honest. I was probably leaning not towards Quinton Stone anyways, so I'm glad that he's the first one that goes off the board over Marcel Cobb, because this is what they said about Cobb and Stone. So Marcel Cobb, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that Marcel is being talked about in the second round. Like, yes, he's 6'3", but he is clearly a first-round pick off the tape. If he stays in school, he is the number 1 tight end and a top 10 pick next season. And then Quinton Stone, this is what they say. They say, I like Quinton, but I'm hesitant on a year 1 starter at Maryland in the second round. And I get that. Which is also part of the reason why I was leaning towards Marcel Cobb anyways. So I think maybe I'll go ahead and trade here up with I think that's going to be the move. Go ahead and trade with Tampa Bay here and go ahead and get Marcel Cobb. Since we missed out on Michael Roscoe, we have a ton of draft capital. Why not go up and get our next guy? So let's go ahead and package some picks together here. Let's do a 3rd rounder, a 4th rounder, and a 5th rounder. A 3, 4, 5 for the 2. Looks like they are not that interested. So what if we did 2 3rd round picks? So we have a slew of picks. So it's about halfway. The only thing I could think of is if we gave them, like, one of the first 3rd round picks. Yeah, that jumps the value up significantly. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. So, if we gave him like 66 and 79 for 41. Not quite. I don't know if 70 would be push it enough. Gets it to green, but not. Wow. They really want some draft capital here. Three top 100 picks, and they will not take it. I don't know if I don't want to give up this 70 pick. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So let's just advance and see what happens. They don't even take him. And the Vikings already drafted Dimitri Green, so I think we're good there. Now we could try with the Broncos to move up. But I think they have Noah Fant. So, and they take Marcel Cobb. Gosh, that is tough. That is tough. All right. Well, a 73 overall. So he wouldn't have even been our starter this year. But he definitely would have been the number 2 guy and someone that we maybe could have started after this season, after that Jonnu Smith season. But I guess we'll just have to continue to move forward. As another defensive tackle here, 71 overall. That's not bad. 71 overall receiver as well for the Cardinals. And Bayless, who we did expect to be in the 70s as the other right outside linebacker, is a 73. Pretty good pick there for the Dolphins. And a good center off the board for the Indianapolis Colts. And that's just wonderful because we get to play against him twice a season now. And we'll also have to play against whoever this is. But I'm not too worried about Allen Benjamin. Huh. See, I didn't scout a ton of the tight ends after Cobb and Stone because a lot of these guys in this range, like Champion here, or Campion, my bad, Champion. Anyways, a lot of these guys are blocking tight ends, and that's not really what I was looking for. I wanted like a blend because the blocking tight ends are usually extremely just slow, like ridiculously slow. And Tinger, which we just talked about being the counterpiece to Michael Roscoe, gets drafted. On a corner to the Chargers. Wow, that's tough. Rory Steer. Yikes. More defensive tackles going off the board. And Aaron Robinson. We had him scouted. And our guys said that he'd be pretty good. They weren't sure in terms of how good he was going to be. I believe they ended up having him listed somewhere in the range of, I'm trying to think here. Let's see what they actually said about him. I'm curious. They said the following. I mean, the dude caught 1,100 yards as a slot receiver in Arizona's offense. If there's anyone that's perfect for the Patriots offense, it's this guy. So, Aaron Robinson, the slot receiver who just catches everything, is going to the Cleveland Browns. So, good pick there by the Browns. Deshaun Smith, a running back, to the Rams. Clifford the big red dog. Fleener, we have a new Fleener, not Kobe Fleener. Center named Fleener, going to the Lions. More bad corners. That just seems to be the trend with this. I told you. Trey Kowalski. I wasn't sure what to think of him, judging off of what I saw. And it looks like he ended up being pretty good going to the Falcons. So good pick there by the Falcons. And who are we playing twice a year? Another one of those corners. So not too worried about that. John Udegby. I don't really know how to say his name, but looks like he was just really slow. That's why I wasn't too interested in him. Goes to the Ravens though. Larry Jordan, a defensive end. And to round out the second round, Tevin Thomas, the Packers. All right. A.J. Wan. Not Wham. Wan. So we got 2 picks here in the first couple of selections. And I might be trading some of these away if I can get some good draft capital in return. Looks like 3 and a 5 from Minnesota. That's interesting. A 3, a 4, and a 6 from Atlanta. Huh. Atlanta's 3, 4, 6 is intriguing. Let's see what's available, though, on the draft board. So, as you see, C.J. Armstrong continuing to fall along with Mason Cobbs. We weren't impressed with those guys, so I'm not shocked that they are falling. Armin Martinez is on the board here. If we wanted to go that route, then we may have to consider him with this selection. Although we do have, like I said, a slew of third rounders. I'm not really amazed by a lot of these guys. Tay Fitch. He looks interesting. Don't need a defensive tackle, but yeah, I'm not seeing anyone that's really jumping out at me. I might trade this pick away, to be 100% honest. Like Geno Perkins, it's interesting. But a lot of these guys that I'm looking at, they're deeper in the draft, so I feel like I can safely get them at a later date. So that's probably going to be the route that I go. I think I'm going to go ahead and trade this pick away for a handful of selections in the future from Atlanta, it looks like. And what do they trade up for? And they trade up for John Hyman. That's a good trade for them. Getting a good player. I looked at him, and my big thing was I wasn't sold on his strength. He looked a little weak. John Hyman, though, this is what they say about him in the scouting report. They say the following. Not the best pass blocker, but definitely a guy you could count on right away on 6 lineman sets for run blocking. So, seems like he's more of he is an interior lineman, so it makes sense he's a run blocking guy, but I don't know. I wasn't shocked by his strength. I thought that could be a weakness. So, good pick, though, by the Falcons. I feel like I've said that a couple times in this draft, actually. So now the Eagles, they kind of whiff there on a linebacker. And look at that. Mason Cobbs, one of those quarterbacks, ends up getting picked by the San Francisco 49ers to back up Jimmy G. And then the Patriots get Armin Martinez. Wow. I mean, I thought he would be there for our next selection. Wow. I did not expect him to go that quickly. I mean, he was, 18th on the board or something like that? And there were other quarterbacks ahead of him. You know, there was only one pick between us and I didn't think Martinez would go. So the Patriots getting Armin Martinez maybe for the quarterback of the future. I'm assuming he's going to sit back and learn from. Well, that actually makes a lot of sense now. Because they have Cam Newton right now, who is one of the most well-known rushing quarterbacks in NFL history, and now they get Armin Martinez, who is the fastest quarterback in this draft class, to learn behind Cam Newton this season. So, I guess that makes some sense. So, any good trades here? A 3 and a 5 from Carolina, 3 and a 4 from Indianapolis. So Indy's 3 and a 4 could be intriguing. But I might just go ahead and select a player here instead. And I think that is the route that I'm going to go. Now, I am intrigued by Dorian Henderson. Although we don't necessarily need a safety, that B plus man and zone makes me wonder if he could be a corner. And so that is, and he's 6'1", 201, so like he could be a corner at that height and weight. So let's see what they say about Dorian Henderson. So Dorian Henderson from Michigan State. He is an excellent cover safety that leads all free safeties in passes defended this previous season. So he's a clear coverage guy who I think he could end up developing into a good corner if I decided to move him there. So he might be someone that we draft with this selection. Now, Matt Edwards also looks intriguing. And so does Eli Rogers. But I think that I'm going to go with Dorian Henderson with this selection. Obviously, we have a ton of later round selections. So I'm just going to go ahead and select Dorian Henderson now and maybe see what we can do with him. Maybe we move him to a different position. So he's a 69 overall. It is considered a good pick. 54 in true talent. 70 is where I drafted him at. And 88 speed. So he's not a blazer by any means, but it's definitely usable. And he's 78 man and zone. Huh. He's not much of a tackler, so putting him at corner would make some sense. I think he is a corner who's just misplaced by Michigan State. So I think that is what we're going to do with him. A lot of movement with the guys that we're drafting, it seems like. Emmanuel Bell. All right. Kehoe to the Steelers. That looks like a good pick by the Steelers. Jeremiah Jones, another corner. Another corner to the Vikings. CJ Armstrong, that's that. See, he was a bust, 64 overall. I definitely was not what I'm looking for my quarterback of the future. So far, not impressed with a lot of these guys. Cole Fernandez, though. Huh. He looks really good. Is that a defensive tackle? That's why I was like, I don't recognize that name. That's because I did not have him scouted because I didn't scout defensive tackles. But Cole Fernandez, great pick there by the Dolphins. Well, let's see if I can't get something for the future. A 3 and a 7 seems to be the going rate here. Or 3 and a 5 from Cleveland. You know what? I think I'm going to take Cleveland up on their 3 and a 5 offer. They trade up for Eric Tyler, a quarterback. Huh. Maybe they know something about him that we don't. Right now I am unimpressed. Michael Grant goes off the board. Now, we did have Eric Harkness scouted. I just didn't feel like middle linebacker, like a depth middle linebacker, was really somewhere we needed to go at this point. Eli Rogers to the Bengals. It's a good player there, 71 overall. We also had him scouted. Once again, I just felt like another 71 overall receiver wouldn't have really separated himself in the pack of receivers that we have. Matt Edwards, there goes Matt Edwards, a 71 overall left outside linebacker. And while yes, I could have, went ahead and selected him, but we're starting to fill up our linebacking core pretty quickly. So I don't know that getting him would have necessarily, I mean, it wouldn't have hurt us, but I don't necessarily know that he would have gotten to see the field much. And there's Tay Fitch, who looks pretty good, 72 overall. And I mentioned that earlier when I just clicked on him for a second. I was like, wow, he looks pretty good, and he is, 72 overall. Chris Strickland, the running back. Keontae Cromartie, another safety. Kevin Dunn. More bad corners, I'm telling you. This has to be one of the worst corner classes. Although D. Ellis looks decent. Going to the Jets. Danny Wilson. A couple of defensive ends here in a row. A little defensive end run. Brandon Leapart. All right, so our final pick here in the third round is the last pick in the third round. And you know what? I think I'm going to trade this one, either to Indianapolis or New England. And who do I think is going to be worse this season, I guess? I don't even know who Indianapolis's quarterback is right now. So I'm going to bet on that. So I'm going to go ahead and just straight up trade this pick for a third next year. And assuming that they don't win the Super Bowl, then it's going to be an upgrade at that pick. And they go with Antoine Dowles, who I would have considered drafting as a depth piece at running back for us. But Minnesota running back there ends up going in the end of the third. All right, so now we are sitting here, fourth round, pick number 2, and it's interesting. Let's take a look at some of the possible selections here. A third rounder from New England. Wow, a slew of picks from Atlanta. They're like, let's just take our entire draft. I don't know. I might make a selection here. It kind of depends. If there's no one that I feel like is going to get taken until pick number 10, then I'll go ahead and trade this. But I feel as though... Actually, maybe not. Maybe we can trade it. Geno Perkins is a 5th round guy. Ryan Mims is a 5th rounder. I definitely want to get JJ Marable. Theron Smith wouldn't be bad. We also need a quarterback, which we do still have Trevor Nickerson here. That is interesting. Maybe we go ahead and trade this away for right now. Get an extra third rounder next year. So we'll have a couple of extra picks next season. Not a ton. I think we'll have like 10 selections or something like that. With, well, actually maybe more than 10, because I forgot we'll have a first and a second from that initial trade down. So maybe we'll have like 12 to 14 selections next year. But let's see what the Patriots traded up for, and they traded up for a running back, Cordell Culpepper. Any relations to Dante Culpepper, I wonder? It looks like a decent left tackle there goes to the Seahawks. Chris Allison. I didn't really have him on my board. Alex Malone. I wasn't sure how good Osman Miller was going to be, but glad I didn't draft him. All right, so now I feel like we should make a selection. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and make a selection here. See if we can get something good out of this. We could go get Geno Perkins. I mean, he's interesting. He definitely has great route running capabilities. Ryan Mims. Huh. Maybe we just go get JJ Marable. Or do we go get our quarterback? Make sure we don't miss, because if we miss on him, it's a year of Andy Dalton. Fourth round guy. You know what, let's get Trevor Nickerson. He's our quarterback. This is where we're going. Early second round prospect. Throw on the run, throw power looks really good. His throw accuracy short is also pretty good. He's got some wheels at 4.72. I like what he brings to the table, and he's a Maine black bear. You don't see that. He doesn't even have to travel that far to come to Toronto. You know what? Let's get Trevor Nickerson. Okay. So, not as good as the other two quarterbacks, obviously. I mean, we also got him in the fourth round. Could have gotten him probably later. But he's actually not that far off from Maddox, who is only a 73. He's a 70. Normal dev, which does suck a little bit. But let's see if maybe we can upgrade that. You never know. I like what he brings to the table. 80 speed. 88 throw in the run. He's got decent throw under pressure. His accuracies are all pretty good to start with, at least. He's just a solid quarterback. Trevor Nickerson, QB of the future for the Toronto Huskies. You guys excited about that one? Maybe not so much. I don't know. I'm excited. I think he's going to be great. We're going to speed this along a little bit here. As you see some of the guys getting taken. Nothing too crazy so far. There's a big whiff. Hey, at least we didn't draft a guy like that to be our quarterback, okay? Could be worse. Little John goes off the board. It's good safety there. Dante Duke going to Seattle. And there goes Geno Perkins. 70 overall. Not bad. I definitely wouldn't have minded grabbing him. Browns with another good selection. That's something you don't see every day. I think Mirable is going to be our next choice here. Assuming he's there. And it does look like he's going to be there. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that selection so we don't lose out on him. Now I'm going to look at the trades. I don't even want to risk losing out on him. I think that he could be a really good player for us in terms of an off-ball linebacker. And I think that's what I'm really excited about his abilities. We don't really have a lot of great off-ball linebackers necessarily. We have, obviously, Darius Evans could be an off-ball guy, but he's probably better as a pass rusher. Quincy Williams, he's a pass rusher more as well. Like, I mean, yeah, we have, I'm drawing a blank now, Luke Wilson, who, you know, I think he could be Logan Wilson. I always call him Luke Wilson. I don't know why. But J.J. Mirable, I think, could be a similar player to Logan Wilson. 72 overall, hidden dev. 21 in true talent. We got him at 123. Say that's a win. This is what they say about J.J. Mirable, by the way. I forgot to tell you guys this. So, this is what our guys said. All right. The senior from Arkansas Pine Bluff. He was known for his pass coverage ability, but really worked on stopping the run this year. He is significantly undersized and from a small school, but if you can look past that, I think he's going to be a star in the NFL. So if that tells you anything, I think J.J. Mirable is, yes, undersized, but I don't think that is going to matter. I think he's going to be a great player for us. As you see, look at the ratings, 86 tackling. That's what I like to see. All right. And as you see, he's definitely not a pass rusher. He's an off-ball linebacker. 100%, 73 zone coverage, 83 speed. He's got good pursuit. I like what he brings to the table. There goes Ryan Mims, who we had on our board. Definitely think we got the better outside linebacker. 68 overall, going to the Giants. Jacob Keels. All right. How many more picks do we have? A handful. We definitely have a handful. And so maybe we trade this one away. Maybe we can get like a fourth rounder or something, being that it's at the top of the fifth. And there's a 4 and a 7. Another 4 and a 7. Let's go after LA's 4 and a 7. I'd be fine with that. I was intrigued by JoJo Gatson. Wasn't sure what he was going to end up being. 65 overall, I mean, it's not terrible. I liked he had great speed, and I believe strength as a safety. That was an intriguing combo. He goes to the Patriots. Alright, don't think there's going to be any great trades here. Actually, a 4th rounder, just straight up. You know, let's do it. Straight up, Carolina's giving me their 4th round pick. Move us up around next year. And they whiff anyways, so... Connor Robinson, 66 overall quarterback from LSU. Interesting. Theron Smith. I was hoping he was going to be there for us. And he goes again to Seattle, sniping us again. That is insane. I don't know how they do it. Alright, let's see. What is out here? What do we feel like we need? Well, none of these guys are all that intriguing. Maybe we just take a shot at one of them, see what they can bring to the table. Because right now I'm not really impressed. I'm trying to think. You know what? Maybe we go ahead and trade some of these picks for a player. Not sure who we could get, but so right now it says that we need maybe we could combine some of these picks for like a defensive end or something like that. I think that would be interesting. Like maybe or maybe a tackle. Maybe not a tackle. Like, could we get James Daniels? Probably not. No. Just curious to see how they valued some of these. So, I guess I don't know what we feel. What do we feel like we need? You could try and get a pass rusher, but I think it's going to be very difficult. to get someone who's actually good. Wow, Chase Young. Huh. Interesting. I mean, we could go after a guy like D Ford. Ooh, he's an X Factor. You know, that wouldn't be a terrible decision. Not sure what exactly he has left on his contract. He's got 3 years left. Ooh, that's a big contract to be eating. But we could also always just get rid of him. So would they do this? No, they have no interest in that. I was just curious how much they really wanted to get rid of that. Well, let's take a look at our team. What do we feel like we need depth at? Maybe that's something we look for. Maybe we get an interior offensive lineman. I mean, we did draft Adam Ritter, but we might put him at tackle. Sorry, Merrill Wiley. So maybe we go after like an interior offensive lineman, like a left guard or something. Like I don't think we could get Elkin Jenkins, but Bradley Bozeman. Maybe we'll go after like a veteran who has a high cap hit or something like that. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Someone who's actually going to help our team, though. It's like we still have the ability to take on a contract, like a fairly big contract. Like Joel Bitonio. Like that's not a bad one to consider. They value him quite a bit, though. That's the problem. I need to find someone that people don't value for some reason. Quentin Nelson. Do you value Quentin Nelson? But Eric Flowers. There's a name. I don't know if there are any good centers out there. Eric McCoy is interesting. Don't think we could get him, but let's see. Like, what if we try to get a guy like a Kevin Zeitler and just, like, put him at left guard or something? Like a little stopgap guy. Looks like they just view him too highly, I guess. Could we get Nate Davis? A little closer. Like, what if we threw in one of our backup guards? We're intrigued by that. I don't know if that would be better or worse. Looks like they'd rather have a player than third pick, so let's get them a player that they need. They say they need a right tackle, which I don't have any. Defensive tackle. Tight end and left outside linebacker. Could trade Joe Giles Harris. Nope. I don't know if they would be interested in Josh Bynes. No. Like, I could move Easton Stick. That doesn't really move the needle, though. I don't know. I don't think that I'm going to be able to get anybody. Unfortunately, it's looking that way right now. Yeah, like, no one is interested in trading a veteran player, apparently. Like, even Gabe Jackson would be an upgrade for us. But, like, it's just impossible. So, how about this? We'll trade for a pick. Who has the worst quarterback in the league right now? Let's take a gander, guys. Oh, Drew Brees is still playing. Wow. Yikes. He's fallen off. Jalen Hurts is a Bear, yes. Oh, the Chiefs. They don't have a quarterback. I forgot. You know what if I took the Chiefs, like... Well, not their first round pick. That would be ridiculous. If I took, like, a third rounder from the Chiefs next year... Yeah. They're all on board for that. Interesting. So let's just go ahead and skip to the next user pick, get this draft over with. It's been fun, but it is time for me to get some food. I don't know about you guys, I'm hungry. But let's see. So we have 4 picks left. Let's go ahead and make at least two selections. So to start with, look at the scouted guys. Anyone that we know is going to be good? No. Okay. Anyone that we think could be good? Well, none of these guys are really looking that great. I don't really want to get a receiver because then they would never see the field. I mean, no one we probably draft is going to see the field, but let's go with George Banks. Maybe not. Maybe we'll take a gander at one of these offensive linemen. We'll go ahead and take a stab at Drew Anglin, I think. I think that's going to be the best bet. Yep, let's go take a stab at him. Get some backup offensive linemen. And it says we almost hit that right on the money. We're apparently great at selecting players right where they should be. Alright, let's go select... Or maybe we'll trade this one away, I guess. Hey, a 5th round pick, wow. Okay. Carolina, Atlanta, and Indianapolis. Carolina's always bad. I'll go with them. Don't know what we could get for this one. Another 5th round pick. Yeah, let's do that. Atlanta or Indy? I'll go with the Indy. And now we'll make our final selection. And our final selection will be the following. We just go get the fastest guy we can find. No, actually, I think there was a receiver if he's still here. Oh, I guess not. Not really impressed with most of these guys. Let's go ahead and just take a stab at Eric Davis. He's got 4.39 speed. It's pretty much what I'm judging it off of. This is what they say, though, about him, which I'm reading it for the first time just as I read it out loud to you guys. Alright. This is Eric Davis. Speed demon. That's all they got on him, is that he's a speed demon. Let's go get ourselves a speed demon. And the first one in which we miss on, but he does have 95 speed, so maybe we can use him as a return man possibly. Or maybe he just doesn't even make the roster. Who knows? But that wraps up the second ever draft here, and I have to say, it's been fun. I think I've been streaming for, I don't know, 2.5 hours or something like that at this point, but it's, yeah, well, it's been fun, I guess. Not really sure what to expect moving forward necessarily. So we're nearing about the 2-hour mark on our stream. So I think that I am going to be cutting it here after I go ahead. I'll go ahead and advance. Actually, final recap here. I'll show you what we ended up with. Your Toronto Huskies had a slew of picks here. We have a Darius Evans, Jaquil Easter, Adam Ritter, Dorian Henderson, Trevor Nickerson, JJ Marable, Drew Anglin, and Eric Davis. So we actually only ended up with 8 picks that we selected, but obviously we had a lot more picks than that to start off with. Tried to send some of them away for future picks and see what we could end up with, but let's see here. Let's go ahead and advance, and then we'll adjust positions as we see it, or as we feel is necessary. So this is going to finish up our off-season stream here. We're back in the preseason of 2021. Your Toronto Huskies. Final Well, I guess not final. Let's go ahead. We have 70 players on the roster, by the way, which is insane. So let's go ahead and adjust, and then we'll see the final thing here. So let's go ahead and make Dorian Henderson a corner. I do want to do that. I think that he's going to be a good corner if we put him there. So let's see what he ends up as. If he's not good, we can always put him back. Because 69 as a safety isn't great, but 69 as a corner, I'll take it. I'll take it. I think he'll get used more if we keep him at corner than if we keep him at safety. As we see here, Jaquil Easter is now going to be the starting strong safety, which is exciting. Now, this is a decision we have to make. Adarius Evans. Obviously, Quincy Williams is the right outside linebacker. That's not going to change. He's been great. So we'll have to figure out where we want to put Adarius Evans. We could put him at left outside linebacker if we wanted to. We could also move him to defensive end, maybe put him at left end or something like that. I don't know what I want to do yet. Maybe we go ahead and we could also keep him as a right outside linebacker and just play him at those positions, which I might end up doing that. Keep him as a right outside linebacker and just maybe play him at left or something like that. I would be intrigued to see what JJ Mirabile would be as a middle linebacker. Not sure how that would, what that would do to his ratings. I mean, he was a 72, I think, left outside, and he's a 71 middle linebacker. So I think that might be where we put him, because Josh Bynes and Demario Davis, I mean, he's already as good as Josh Bynes, essentially. And Demario Davis is only going to get worse, and Mirabile is only going to get better. So they'll be closing that gap pretty quickly. So I like having him as a middle linebacker. I know he's a little undersized, but I think that it'll work all right. Now, what we could do... Make Zaire Franklin a left outside linebacker. So now we've got these guys here at right, these guys at left, middle, and obviously Adarius Evans is probably going to start at left outside linebacker, and maybe, I don't know what we're going to do with Logan Wilson. I'll have to figure that out. But he's definitely starting somewhere. Now I figure out the offensive line, which I guess whichever one is the better pass blocker I want is the left tackle. So pass blocking, hands down, is Adam Ritter. So I'm going to go ahead and move him to keep Adam Ritter at left tackle and move Jedrick Wills, I think, to... Yeah, because he's a much better run blocker. So yeah, I'm going to move Jedrick Wills to right tackle and make him be our new starting right tackle. So now I will have Adam Ritter as the left tackle. Got Moochie, Nick Harris, Lorenzo Betts, and now Jedrick Wills at right tackle. I like that. I think it's gonna work out pretty well. Tight end, you got Jonnu Smith. Nothing to change there. Receiver, there's nothing to change. At halfback, nothing to really do. And quarterback. All right. So this is what the roster looks like after this offseason. We ended up getting a handful of players that are now over. Before we had a handful, and now I feel like we have 2 or 3 handfuls of players over an 80 overall. So it's good. We're definitely getting there. And I think this team is set to really make some good improvements. Huh. As you see, now we got some color also across here. For the most part, we just had star and mostly normal dev players last year. Now we got a couple of star, or good handful on each side of star players. Few superstar and even some X factors now. I'm excited to see what dev traits our rookies have. So we'll have to move some of these guys around. It looks like they're going to play Quincy Williams at left outside linebacker and Ardarius at right. And you know what? I don't hate that. I actually kind of like that a little bit. So yeah, we'll mess around with this next time, or I'll mess around with it off camera and then have it ready for you next time. But until then, my name is TayVikes28, and I thank you guys for watching. It's been an absolute blast doing the off season. I probably sound a little dead because I've been speaking for like 3 hours straight, it feels like, but I'm just glad that that you guys tuned in, and hopefully we can see our team in action again. I do not play the preseason, so we will go ahead and sim through that to start off the next video, and then we will start off by getting into week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams, which is hopefully going to be our first victory of the season. Last year, I think we started off with a victory in either week 1 or 2, so maybe we can match or beat that this year. So thank you guys for watching. I will catch you next time. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. My name's TayVikes28. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Anything is appreciated, excuse me. Once again, have a great rest of your day, and I thank you for watching.